Thank you, Chris. This will be the fifth Anthony Joshua fight that will be telecast on Showtime here in the States. We're very proud of our association with AJ and with Matchroom, part of Showtime's commitment to giving fans the biggest fights and the best fighters. And AJ certainly fits that criteria. He is without a doubt now the consensus #1 heavyweight in the world. As Chris said, we last saw him in April this year, a thrilling fight. Career-defining knockout of Vladimir Klitschko in front of a record crowd of 90,000 people. That fight was broadcast in over 150 countries, including live in the U.S. on Showtime. And on October 28th, we expect another spectacle of similar scale. He's got a very experienced challenger. We expect a rabid crowd of 70,000, and we are proud to be bringing it on Showtime, starting live at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. Chris?
Thanks, Stephen. So I'd like to introduce now head of Matchroom Boxing, Eddie Hearn. Eddie, if you'd say a few words and introduce the champion for us, and then we'll get to questions from the press.
Sure. Thanks, Chris, and thanks for everyone for dialing in today. We're just over a week away from another huge event. As Stephen said, 75,000 people. It's the biggest indoor boxing event in Europe of all time. It's going to be an incredible atmosphere. We saw back on April the 29th, just a wonderful night of boxing when Anthony unified the division. I think with Floyd's departure from the sport, he is unquestionably the biggest star in world boxing. The amount of interest from international broadcasters has been incredible, and we will, of course, thank Showtime for the 5th episode of Anthony Joshua's World Championship career live on the channel. Thank you to Stephen and all the guys at Showtime for their excellent support. It's extremely valued by myself and Anthony. And a fun fight next week, Carlos Takam. It was going to be Pulev, 10 weeks of training for a 6'5", tall, rangy, awkward guy. Now we have a 6'2" little guy who's going to come at us non-stop, throwing big punches, overhand rights, hooks, relentless pressure, and he's going to come across a team training Anthony Joshua, looking, I think, the best he's ever looked in camp. We can't wait for a wonderful show live on Sky Sports Box Office in the UK and, of course, on Showtime in the US. Without further ado, I would like to introduce, say a few words, the unified heavyweight champion of the world, Anthony Joshua.
Good evening, and thank you for taking time to have me on the phone this evening. Thanks Showtime for broadcasting me in the States, the Mecca of boxing, and Eddie Hearn, for showcasing my hard work to the world. And we're back again October 28th, as you said, against Carlos Takam. I could say a million things about Takam because I'm studying him. At the end of the day, there's two things that I'm focusing on. One's just focusing on the fight, and the second one is winning. And then we can all move on to see what 2018 holds, because I'm sure that's going to be a promising year.
All right, thank you, Anthony. Operator, can you give the instructions for questions, please?
If you'd like to ask a question, please press *1 on your telephone keypad. Once again, that is *1. And our first question is from Dan Raphael with ESPN.
Thank you very much, everybody. My first question, Anthony, is this. Can you just give your viewpoint of what it was like when you found out that after spending a couple, however many weeks or months you had been training, that suddenly your opponent was going to change from Kubrat Pulev to Carlos Takam? What's that like for you?
I was a bit baffled because you know how it is when you're a fighter. It's like, they're saying I'm going to fight with one arm, one eye, one leg. So I didn't expect him to kind of turn down the opportunity. But I do understand that he wants to do 100%. And nowadays there's a lot of science in sports, so he probably had the advice from his doctors and stuff. So I get it, but it's a shame because there was just something about Pulev that I wanted to outclass him. But my mindset with Takam is that, I don't know, I don't think he's not a boxer. He's not like a European-style, Olympic-style boxer. He's a bit more of a war veteran style, take a lot to give a lot. So it's just switching up my mindset now about the type of style of fight I'm going to engage in now. That was the main disappointment, is that I wanted to outclass Tule with the jab and counter shot.
Now, Anthony, I know this is a big event in Cardiff, all through the UK, with the amount of people that are going to be there. Obviously, the fights you have are big spectacles. I think the interest from the boxing fans in the United States, when you didn't get the rematch with Klitschko because you retired, if you had gotten that, a lot of people thought maybe you would come and have that fight in the United States. I know Eddie can speak to this. He had come to speak to some of the folks in Las Vegas about that. So without getting too far ahead of yourself, because I do know you got the fight on the 28th, can you just give your viewpoint about at some point coming and fighting in the United States? I know you've been asked about that, but now as you get closer to maybe it happening, what are your thoughts about that?
I'm excited. I'm very excited. And I would love to fight there because of the great champions that the United States have produced. So it's more in respect to them to pour some blood there, drip some sweat, and just to add it to the scrapbook. You know where I'm coming from? But at the same time, I'll fight anywhere. There's talks of Africa, Middle East, staying in the UK. But America definitely is definitely at the top of the pyramid for sure. And the thing is, I just don't want to come. Before, I wanted to go out there for experience, but now I want to go out there and make some noise. So it's who I fight. That's what's going to be interesting.
Eddie, could you speak to that about your desires? I mean, you're coming here to promote the Daniel Jacobs fight. You have your Matchroom USA up and running. Can you go into a little detail about the prospect of bringing Anthony Joshua here to defend the heavyweight title?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's definitely on the radar. Like Anthony said, you know, it's definitely part of the scrapbook to be produced in years to come. We want to try and change the game, try and break down boundaries, and that includes America, Africa, the Middle East as well. It's very hard then to leave the UK when you're selling 75,000, 90,000 tickets, pushing pay-per-view records. But Anthony, you know, Anthony Joshua is a global brand. He's not British heavyweight champion, he's world heavyweight champion. So in time, I mean, we will definitely box abroad in 2018, but the key now is to get the win on October 28th, and then in the weeks that follow, put a concise plan together for the 2018 schedule, and hopefully America is included in that.
All right, very good. Thank you guys very much. Appreciate your time today. Good luck, Anthony.
Thank you.
The next question comes from Lance Pugmire with Los Angeles Times.
Hi, Anthony. Thanks for being on today. I really appreciate it, buddy. I wanted to ask you, when you talked about someone needing to make noise to arrange a good fight in 2018, it seems like Deontay Wilder was trying to do that by fighting Ortiz, and then obviously it fell through. But do you foresee a showdown with Wilder coming in 2018?
Anytime, I think so. I think it's what the division needs as such. Or let me say this, I think it's what Wilder needs. Do you know what I mean? And so we'll give it to them sooner or later. So I'll say it's definitely a potential for 2018, because when you really look at it, it's like, what else am I going to do 2018? Providing that I don't have any mandatories, I'll be free. I'll be free agent. So I'd be interested to which route we pick. And it's dealt with right with Eddie Hearn and the US, I think it can be built to be something just like the Klitschko fight. It should be mega.
Oh, yeah. And that's something you foresee being in the US?
Yeah, I think so. But then this is what I'm saying, is that I could tell you a million things, but I do have some real professional people in the background, you know, advising me as well. So I can see it happening in the US, but did you come to Wembley, April 29th?
Yes. Unbelievable.
So you saw what that was like. That was phenomenal. That was really good. So that's what I think it's like. Do you want to create that again, or shall we go overseas and do something new? So it's good to have options, though. It's good to have options.
Yeah. And Eddie, question for you. I mean, now that you've got Danny Jacobs and you guys are working with HBO, does that complicate anything with the work that you will do with Anthony Joshua? do you anticipate him still being able to be on Showtime? Because obviously Deontay's got that connection to Showtime.
Absolutely. I mean, I've saw other promoters trying to muddy the waters in that respect. Showtime has supported Anthony Joshua for 5 events now. They've done a great job. They backed us when no other network wanted to back us early in the day. And we appreciate that. And we appreciate the way they're building the Anthony Joshua brand with us. So the Matchroom Boxing USA is one business. Anthony Joshua is another business. Anthony has involvement in our US business as well. And, you know, but ultimately, the channel that he fights on is not dependent on where Matchroom Boxing USA is at all. So, you know, we'll do the right thing for Anthony Joshua. And like I said, the USA division of Matchroom is separate, but we will represent him.
Okay, guys, thank you so much. Good luck this week.
The next question comes from Brian Campbell with CBS Sports.
Thank you. Anthony, I heard your response earlier about your reaction to Kubrat Pulev pulling out. I'm interested in the timeline. What is that like for a fighter? You find out that he's going to be out. How many opponents did you consider, and how long did it take before you said, yes, I want to still fight on this date?
I didn't hear the first question.
In terms of your mindset from when you find out Pulev can't make it, How many opponents do you consider, and how long does it take before you agree that you're still going to fight on the 28th?
I think there's no doubt in my mind that I would still fight, in the sense of if Eddie had opponents lined up, I'm definitely still going to fight. So there was no point in my mind where it was like, oh, no, I'm not going to compete. I don't know what I'm going to do. And what's a real bonus is that I always work on myself in the gym. So I haven't had like 100 Pulev clones come into the gym, and I've been working just solely on the style to defeat Pulev. I've been working on improving on my weaknesses and building on my strengths. So when I heard that it wasn't him fighting and the next guy in line was Takam, it was like, okay, cool, because I've still been developing myself anyway. So you could put me with anyone, and I should be in a position where what I've worked on in the gym and what I've built myself to in these last 3 months, I should be able to fight anyone anyway. So it was like, I'm just happy that I don't have to wait, because that would have been April, then it probably would have been next year, April, March, I would have been fighting. So that would have been a year out the ring. I just think that now's not the right time to be taking that much time out. So I'm really grateful that the show can still go on.
Is there, from a fighter's perspective, is there financial pressure you put in the camp? You don't want to lose the date. You want to get the payday. Is that part of it when you're thinking of, I still want the show to go on?
Nah. You know what it is? Like, look at Pulev. He was getting good payday, but he had to make the decision. So from a fighter point of view, you have to put the fighting first. Then a second point of view, I think I don't want to take the opportunity for a lot of my friends on the undercard to lose out, because they're not going to make no money. Then you've got to think of the fans as well, because look at that. There's so many people that have built hotels, travel, time off work. So that's what I mean. Before I thought of myself, I was like, ooh, you know, there's all these other people that have come out to have a good time and are dependent on me. So that's why I say I'm really happy that the show could still go on, because not just me, a lot of people would have lost out that night.
Understood for sure. I'm interested in your reaction if you had a chance to watch any of the videos Deontay Wilder posted when his opponent, Luis Ortiz, was unable to go against him. And you heard Deontay almost whining that no one wants to fight him. Knowing that you're one of the guys who we talked about potentially will fight him, how did you react to hearing him say that?
When I heard Pulev pulled out, I was going to do the same thing. That's what the champions are doing these days. But I find it funny. I just find it funny. It's like, you know, like Twitter fingers now. Like, do your business behind closed doors. You know, Ortiz told the joke, says, so be it. You move on to the next one. Do you know what I mean? Ortiz comes off his band, you box him up then. No need to cry about it and start telling the whole world no one wants to fight me. Of course people want to fight you. You're the champion. You're the hunted. So, you know, he just needs to stop thinking that way and stop feeling sorry for himself, you know, and just crack on. don't show no weakness in this game. This is heavyweight boxing. This ain't featherweight boxing.
And finally, Anthony, it sounded earlier like you may have said that Deontay needs this fight more than you if you guys can end up making it happen. Why do you think that, if that's true?
Just more, okay, like, I look at Deontay Wilder. I fought Jason Gavin, for instance, in, like, my 12th fight, maybe my 7th fight. Deontay fought him in his 34th fight, 35th fight, do you know what I mean? So what I'm trying to come from is that in a career, it's all good going undefeated and looking good, but when it's all said and done, how are people going to remember you? He hasn't had any memorable fights. Like, there's nothing I can tell you and say, oh, do you remember Deontay Wilder's 29th fight? That was an unbelievable heavyweight fight. Do you know what I mean? So he needs a real remarkable fight to stamp his name in the history books of heavyweight boxing. And that's why I say I think he needs it that little bit more right now. And especially being an American, this is the mecca of boxing. I even need it. I need Wilder to have this remarkable fight. I have to be the one to kind of step up and make this dream a reality. Then this is where I'm coming from. I'll be honored to travel to America and compete with Wilder.
Thank you. Best of luck to you, man. Thanks.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Jim Gray with Showtime.
Hey, Anthony. Good to talk to you. I'm just wondering what it is that you might have learned from coming so close to losing and picking yourself up and beating Klitschko now with the passage of time.
Okay, now, like, when I watch boxing, I watch it completely different because you can never imagine, like, when you watch, like, a George Foreman and Ron Lyle kind of fight or the Ali and George Foreman fight, where there's a bit of their spirit, a bit of their soul disappears on a fight like that. I always wondered, how are they doing it? How are they taking these shots? And, you always question how, why, and what is it that makes these people what they are. And until I went through it, I would always watch boxing, but now I really understand. I don't watch it, I understand it. And I know that, like, the thing that you can't be taught is how to survive in the trenches. You know where I'm coming from. So,
yes, sir.
I know that. I just feel like my heart is very big, and I wear it on my sleeve in this sport. And it's just like kind of that mindset. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to win. That's one thing. And I just realized as well what the division needs, because I think the masses of people can relate to a boxer's life because it's a labouring life. You're up early, you're working, you're resting, you're providing for your family, all that stuff. But it's been dampened by, like, all the glitz and glamour, like, oh, I'm getting money now, I'm balling. But it's not. And then that disconnects from so many people, because the wealthy people, like 1%, 5% of the wealth. So we need, like, people just want to see you fight. They want to see you go to war. And that's another thing that I learned, is what people want and what people desire for in this sport, to kind of bring the attention back to boxing. So I just understand what sport I'm in now. I don't just do it. I don't just watch it. I really understand it. And I know what people want. And I know what I've got to do to deliver.
And do you feel now, Anthony, with that fight and that win over Klitschko and with Floyd now retired, that you're now the biggest attraction in boxing? And with that, are you now comfortable carrying that mantle?
No, I'm going to keep it humble, because there's still people in the sport that I look up to, where I'm coming from. I love Canelo, I love Gonda, I love Alexander Lara. So from a talent perspective, I'm not the most talented, but I hustle the smartest. I work the hardest. You can't deny that. So, we're all carrying this flag. Even you guys, even the promoters of the sport are carrying this flag. So it's not just me. But we all have different attributes. Do you know what I mean? We all have different attributes.
Thank you, Anthony. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
The next question comes from Keith Idek with BoxingScene.com.
Yes, Anthony, what's different about the challenges that Takam presents as opposed to Pulev, obvious other than the height, of course?
I feel like Takam is, it's hard to say, to have his kind of style, not many people have long careers, but he's like got this style right that he just eats up a little bit of ground. A little bit of ground each round, a little bit of ground. So you can be out here boxing, bam, jab, right hand to the head, little left hook, right hook. You're looking good. And then all of a sudden, you realize that everything you was doing wasn't working because this person is still coming. So I think, round 6, 7, 8, he starts applying pressure because he's got that type of, I'm going to absorb everything you do. I'm going to measure everything you do. Then I'm going to give you what I'm capable of doing, which is always a dangerous style. And the thing is that, as I said, I've gone back from Brazil, Molina, Klitschko, preparing for Pulev. I've concentrated on a lot of taller fighters. Now I've got this, people say he's 6'2", but he probably fights at 6 foot, bent down, he's crouched over. But as I said, like I could talk a million things that I understand about Takam, but all in all that goes down in the history books is if I win or lose, right? So I just got to do whatever I got to do to get this win because it's really important for me and the sport of boxing because it sets up certain fights in the future.
Do you feel in some ways, Anthony, that this is a tougher fight than Pulev would have presented?
I think he is tougher, but he can take more. But I don't think he's smarter for that reason. I'm coming from. So it's what do we call tougher? Is it the smarter fighter that's going to make me think more, or is it the guy who's going to make me work? That's what's going to be interesting. But I think I'll definitely fight Pulev in the future.
Thanks, Anthony.
Thank you.
As a reminder, if you would like to ask a question, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad. Once again, that is star 1. And our next question comes from Bernard Fernandez, The Sweet Science.
Yes, Anthony. Perhaps because your physical dimensions are similar and you're both Olympic gold medalists, I've heard some people say that at this stage of your career that you're akin or similar in some ways to the great Lennox Lewis. How do you feel about that, and have you heard such comparisons?
It's an honor at this stage, because we're far from finished, so at this stage. I'm going to do some research and see kind of where Lennox was at in terms of career building, going into his 20th fight. But I feel, how do I feel about that? I feel Lennox is someone I can definitely learn from. You know where I'm coming from? So if you gave me a list of boxers to kind of study and learn from, I would put Lennox in my top 10, 100%. So if I can kind of perfect that jab, like look what he done to Razor Ruddock, when people wrote him off and so on and so forth. So yeah, this is what we're doing. This is the journey we're on, and it's interesting because either you're the next Lennox or you're nobody in boxing. You know where I'm coming from? Either you're the next Mike Tyson or you're nobody in boxing. It's a tough sport. So if I can be compared to these kind of legends of the game, we're definitely moving in the right direction. I'm not here calling myself the next Lennox. This is what I'm hearing. So we're moving in the right direction.
How much, if any, have you guys been around one another, and has he said anything to you about what he thinks that you're going to be?
I was around Lennox when I was trying to make the decision of turning professional, but he was just saying that, listen, you want to build quietly, you want to build in small hall shows, but signing with Matchroom, they had other plans. So, but that's why Eddie's a promoter. He's a fighter. Lennox was giving me more advice on kind of career building Do you know where I'm coming from? So I went with Matchroom, who have done that for a long time and have done that very well. So after that, I kind of locked myself away, and I've just been focusing on my fight game now with my coach, Rob McCracken. But if there's any advice I could take from Dennis, I'm all ears on the fight game, because I do need to develop still, for sure.
So any other questions I had were asked earlier. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay, I want to say thank you, Anthony. We have just time for one more. Operator, we just do one more question, then we're going to have to let Anthony get back to his busy schedule. Thank you.
The last question comes from Ben Thompson with FightHype.com.
Ben, are you with us?
Ben, your line is open.
Can you guys hear me?
We can now, yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, AJ, thanks for the time. I'm just curious, is there a timetable for you to actually unify the titles? I mean, is that even a priority? And if so, do you feel like Deontay has to, have a stellar performance in order to build that fight up, or is that something that we can do immediately, perhaps after, both of your next two fights?
Well, there's no time scale, We've kind of just rolled with the punches, like the Charles Martin. We was fighting for the British title. Then the Charles Martin opportunity presented itself. So boom, we was ready. We had a voluntary, so on and so forth. Then the Klitschko, boom, presented itself. And now we have a mandatory. We have to take that. So what we're doing, we're rolling with the punches. But there is opportunities that are bubbling in the background. And regarding Deontay Wilder, I think he doesn't need a stellar performance to compete. He's a heavyweight. He's a champion. He's winning, and that speaks enough. We have to give credit where credit's due. So if that's the case, he's definitely a name that will be respected on my resume for sure.
But is that something that, because I know you when you talk about that fight, if I ask Deontay Wilder the same question, he'll tell me right now, I'm ready to fight Anthony Joshua tomorrow. He'd rather fight you instead of fighting Bermane Stiverne. But it kind of sounds like that's not your same attitude. Like, obviously, you're the man, you're at the top of the division, and you have options. Therefore, Deontay is just one of many options, so he's maybe not a priority for you. Is that correct, if I say it that way?
I just look at, all it is with Hodder, I just look at it like this. And, these are just conversations that I have with my pals and stuff. Is that guy's been a professional since 2009. I started boxing in 2008. He's been professional a year longer than I've been boxing my whole career. So where I'm coming from is that he needs these fights. Like, he wants to kind of, he's had 38 fights, or what's it? He's nearly on the verge of competing with Floyd Mayweather's record. Do you know where I'm coming from? He needs these fights. So it's different. It's different ball games. The only thing that gives me credibility is the fact that I've gone and unified the division. So this is good. This is good. And this is why I say that he doesn't need to have a remarkable performance or fight any household name or whatnot to kind of make this fight happen, because he's been doing his thing for so long. But I think the reason why he's more desperate is because the boxing fans are calling out, saying, Wilder, what are you doing? You haven't X, and X, and X. So who's the next person on the list? 50 Cent says it best: attach your name to the best brand in business and people will listen. So he's just calling me out because he knows I'm the hotcake in the business right now. So he's just doing what any businessman would do. But in reality, I just think, I look at my situation, I say, after this Takam situation, what's the situation with this WBA saying that I have to fight a mandatory now? So only God knows what's going to happen with my situation. So I always look at it from a realistic point of view. I will fight Wilder next year and make it a blockbuster, 100%. There's no doubt about that. But I'm going to speak to you and be real and just say, these are the reasons why he's probably doing what he's doing, and these are the reasons why it potentially could happen, but it might not happen tomorrow or the next fight I have because of certain mandatories I have. Or do we just say, you know what, Wilder, forget about it. I'm going to give up my belt and I'm going to do this because it's what you want and what I want. Do you know what I mean? So we have to make some careful decisions in the making of this fight.
For sure. Makes sense. Thanks, champ.
Thank you very much.
All right, Anthony, thank you. Eddie and Steven, appreciate your time. And to all the press for joining the call, we appreciate you. Again, next Saturday, October 28th, live on Showtime at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, from Principality Stadium in Cardiff, Wales. We're going to bring you the first of back-to-back heavyweight world championship fights live on Showtime. We're proud to do it. We're happy to do it, and glad you'll be with us.